He seemed set on a good and respected career, a Danish dancer in Denmark.
I thought that Copenhagen was the navel of dance. I thought that was the center of dance. I did, I really did. And so that gives you kind of a place where you're not distracted a lot, and they make you slowly develop. Denmark is very to the north. It's also very cold. It's very dark in the winter. So you stay inside the theater and practice. This is at least what I did.
Members of the Royal Danish Ballet, as dancers go, are particularly well looked after. If they sustain an injury or when they retire in their early 40s, they can look forward to a pension for life. Before he was 20, Peter Schaufuss decided to leave the company and Denmark.
I'm lucky in the sense that I didn't have to defect or anything like that. It was a choice, and it is a choice. I could go back and live here anytime I want to go back and live here, but I left for different reasons that I'm staying away. Different reasons from me not going back now. When I first left, it was really to learn more, to work with people that I felt I didn't have an opportunity to work with in Denmark.
Early on, he crossed the Atlantic, and before injury forced him to return to Europe, he was a principal dancer with the New York City Ballet, and had achieved an ambition to work with two of the greatest modern choreographers, George Balanchine and Jerome Robbins. Since then, his career has been in total contrast to that of his Danish contemporaries. He has moved freely and frequently between different theatres and companies and performed a wide range of repertoire, classical and modern. But how easy has the transition been? From the artistic and financial security of one company to the jet-setting free market. From a repertoire based largely on the preservation of the work of one long-dead choreographer to new, original and unconventional work. It hasn't been easy.
I was only 17 when I left, and I had very good training, and technically I was on a very high level, but I had no professional experience in a sense. So I had some very difficult years and very hard years, especially my double work, my partnering wasn't that good at all. So that took a long time to learn that, and thank God I met some very patient ballerinas. They were willing to put up with me. The Bonneville repertoire in which we are trained doesn't require any partnering like the big Russian repertoire. And as we had very few of that type of ballets, the Russian style ballets, in the repertoire at that time, you never even saw it as a child, you know, because you learn a lot from watching. So that was a big problem when I first left.
Schaufuss has partnered Elisabetta Terabust at performances in the United States, South America and throughout Western Europe.
The mental side is another aspect too. When you're young, some of us also are a bit shy, even if you don't want to admit it. And, you know, maybe dancing with other people you don't know very well and being in that close contact, you know, makes you a bit shy. And maybe you're not honest about it and saying I'm shy. So maybe you give out bad vibrations in a sense that you don't really get on with the people the way you should have. Once you gain the experience, it's much easier to work things out and get on with partners.
Turn around yourself, keep it going, breathe out.
For a company based in northern Italy, Atto Balletto, Peter Schaufuss had the opportunity to work with the American choreographer Glenn Tetley.
Then as you turn here,
With Terabust, he danced Tetley's ballet Sphinx.
breathe in, release out, plie, plie.
Tetley's style of choreography called for a type of movement that was new to the Danish-trained
You
dancer.
tense it. It's always, yeah, just like she's got that foot. Invisibly, she's got the whole body here, and you press against it, pull out. Keep it in movement.
It was difficult
Yeah.
for Peter in the first rehearsals we had with Sphinx because Peter's training is Bournonville, which is known all over the world for producing the jump it does, for the lightness of the movement, for the brilliance of the technique. My background is American contemporary dance, and classically I was trained in Russian technique,
And you turn.
and both of them use much more back movement,
Resistance. Now breathe in.
a much more breath, visible breath in the movement.
Breathe out as you take big breath forward as you go into the arabesque.
And the choreography for Oedipus in Sphinx uses that back extraordinarily. It was hard for Peter to understand where the movement came from.
Yeah. This is going to have to fold slightly.
One can't do it with words. One has to do it with physical demonstration. We spent on single movements, where they started and where they went to. We spent a lot of time. It's been a slow process.
Breathe.
He can
As you go
get the feeling of a transition starting, that the movement has started in the body before it's even visible, that the movement starts with breath before anything else is moved in the body.
It has a lot of tension in it. Not tenseness, but tension. Those magical sands in the Sahara, like quicksand, where you have to use all of that force. And it doesn't work unless you go through every part of the movement. If you break it, it loses its quality. It should be...
I think that it's to his credit that he realizes the value of preparation, and a credit to his intelligence to want to expand his knowledge technically, the repertoire that he can perform, and all of these things are feeding into him also as a choreographer, as a theater person, as a director.
As if you were underwater here, you know.
Yeah.
So this is like a swimming movement coming up here.
The opportunity also arose for Peter Schaufuss to become a guest artist with the Royal Ballet in London. Becoming a guest member of a company involves taking class as well as giving performances. Regular class was a welcome opportunity to keep in trim during his travels.
1, 2, 3, yeah. First position.
But the Royal Ballet in London is as close-knit as the Royal Ballet in Denmark. Most of the company have trained and worked together over the years, and the company policy emphasizes opportunities for those within, rather than welcoming guests. Nevertheless, he was offered the opportunity to dance one of the classic roles of English ballet, Colas, in Frederick Ashton's La Fille Malgade. The critic of the Standard wrote, "During the 20-odd years that the work has been in the repertoire, the role has had many fine interpreters. But surely it can never have been danced with such explosive energy and classical precision." It was Kenneth Macmillan, principal choreographer of the Royal Ballet, who had wanted Schaufuss in the company in the first place, to create the title role in his new ballet, Orpheus.
In the 50s, I went to Denmark and I did 3 of my works there, and I knew Peter Schaufuss's mother and father, who were great dancers in Denmark. And then suddenly I heard they had this small boy who was a sort of child prodigy. I eventually saw him dancing here in London, and I was simply amazed at what he was doing, his technique. He was doing more pirouettes, jumping higher than most people. Not only can he dance supremely well, but like all Danes, they can act very well too. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. If he had any difficulties, it was because he hasn't had very many roles created on him. And I think the act of creating something together with a choreographer was, in a way, newish to him. I wanted you to go round in the air with both legs. Both legs, but doing that. Most of his works had been dancing in the established repertoire in Denmark and doing the classics abroad. 10, 11, 12. That's it.
Yes.
What goes wrong? That's it. Orpheus opens with a very, very long solo. I mean, longer than most male dancers do. And I think Peter found that very exhausting to pace himself to get through it. But there was no movement he couldn't do. What he found hard was putting them all together for such a long time. Good. He's right, wasn't it? Brilliant. Excellent. I think I made more demands on him than probably other choreographers have. I know certainly when other people were learning the role, they found it hard. Of course, they could do it, but they had to build up the stamina to do it. Even Peter had to build up the stamina. It was rather like running a marathon race.
Orpheus opened at the Royal Opera House, Covent Garden in June 1982.